Welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I am your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrill. And as always nowadays, we've got Max behind the scenes. All right, let's get started. We've got a lot to talk to this week. Some of our subjects are going to be this past weekend's UFC card, some local fights that occurred this past weekend, and we're going to hit hard on No Gi Worlds. All right, Will, go ahead, take us into the UFC.
Let's get into it. All right, so full disclosure, I only watched the main card, and I watched it on Sunday because I was busy on Saturday. We'll discuss why in a minute. You haven't seen the fights at all, right?
No, so I haven't seen any of the fights. I was busy Saturday flying home from Las Vegas from the World Championships, and Sunday is for football.
Understood. All right, so it'll be mostly me driving this. We're not going to spend too long on it, but let's dive in. So we had a nice fight night card. It was the last card of the year, and I thought it was good. It was, it wasn't like every once in a while there's like a fight night card where you're like, dude, that I would have paid double for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This wasn't that, but it was a good card. I certainly enjoyed it. So we'll start right at the top. Joaquin Buckley and Colby Covington. So I very much wanted Buckley to win this, right?
Yes.
One, because I like Buckley. I think he's cool. Two, he wears purple. He didn't in this fight, which was very unfortunate. But
Has he only worn purple one time?
I don't know. But, once you're a purple person, you're in,
All right, yep.
And then three, I really don't like Colby Covington. And that's generally not a reason that I, only root for someone. But it definitely is nice. And was really nice for me because, dude, Buckley just rolled through him, dude.
Was he?
Bro, dominated. There was one maybe a minute and a half long section or something, I believe in the second round, where Colby got a takedown and was kind of controlling him. But other than that, dude, it was all Buckley. So round one, Buckley is just bombing on him standing, dude, just bombing on him. And
what did you think about the stoppage? Bad stoppage.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, we'll get to that. So yeah, round one, dude, bombing on him and stuffing takedowns and looking good stuffing takedowns. And also good strike selection, not just throwing randomly. He's very much improved. I think people used to look at Buckley as a brawler and someone who maybe was a little inconsistent.
Yeah.
And dude, seeing his growth has just been awesome because again, legitimately good striking, not just I wouldn't say great striking yet, but seeing the improvement he's made, I think is really cool. Punch into the body, all kinds of good stuff, right? And his takedown defense looked awesome. Round two, when Colby did get that takedown, what we saw a lot of is anytime Colby's head popped up, he went double arm on the shoulders, super, super hard to start to create space and either get his feet on the hips and press out, or in this case, he got his back to the cage, wall walked up. But the fact that every time his head popped up, he went straight to that tells me that that was part of the game plan. He's drilled this a bunch. And again, seeing him grow as a martial artist and a competitor and everything is really cool, and seeing him able to stay disciplined through that. So round three, I believe that's where the stoppage was more of the same. He was just beating him up. So the stoppage, okay, here's why I'm conflicted on it. One, I don't like Colby Covington, so I'm gonna be real biased here and be yeah, of course, great stoppage, you know what I mean? Two, I didn't watch this fight with any audio. I didn't want to be influenced by the announcers at all. So
yeah,
they said they stopped it, and in hindsight, I'm I should have listened and maybe heard what did they have to say about it. But based on what I saw, the cut was here, and it didn't really look to me like it was going directly in the eye.
Yeah, from what I saw, a lot of people were saying that wouldn't have been stopped in other places.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think that the stoppage might have been a little early, but also it's one of those things where it's Colby was starting to slow down. You were starting to see him
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, dude, big time.
That's
I wouldn't
the exact
say
opposite of what I heard.
I wouldn't say that
it was it was looking promising for Colby if it was a 5-round fight.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that so to Colby's credit, he kept moving forward the whole time and kept shooting, even as the shots got more and more telegraphed and more and more just stuffable and we're getting stuffed. So the dude is tough, and clearly skilled, but I don't see any world where he beats Buckley on that night. Buckley just had him.
Right.
So congrats to Buckley. That was a fun fight, very fun for me, getting to see Colby get beat up. So fight of the night, Cub Swanson and Billy Quarantilla. Brother, this was a great fight. Okay. Oh, actually, hold on. One thing I wanted to mention about Buckley, because it's going to come up in this fight too. Something that I saw in Buckley's stand-up that I thought was really good is he stayed like kind of, you know when guys come out and they're like kind of twitchy, you know, with their feints and everything. And then like as the fight goes on, they get a little less twitchy. You know what I mean? Like he kept a lot of that throughout the whole fight, which I thought was really like interesting. And it just like kind of popped in my head. And we will revisit that. So getting back to the Cub Swanson Billy Quarantillo fight, dude, it was awesome. It was just back and forth banger. Cub was mostly winning it, but like Quarantillo absolutely had his moments, especially after like getting beat up like he did in the first round, coming back. It totally deserved fight of the night. It was tremendous. And then the ending sequence, dude, Cub Swanson twitches. Billy kind of reacts, not really. Shows like a really slow, lazy jab, and then step in 3-2, heavy. Whoa. And dude, just put him out. It was like so pretty to see. And yeah, man, it was a great back and forth fight, and then had like a tremendous ending like that. Dude, awesome fight. Too bad it couldn't be included in, you know, potential fight of the year.
Yeah.
Because that's already been determined. But overall, fantastic fight. And dude, how old is Cub?
41, 42.
Wait, really?
He's in his 40s for sure.
He's definitely in his 40s. That's nuts.
Definitely in his 40s.
Bro, he looks so fast and like
41.
Dude, 41. That's insane. He's at bantamweight, right? Or is he featherweight?
This would have been featherweight, right?
Dude, to be 41 at featherweight and like have the cardio that he had, the speed he had, and to put like a decisive ending on the fight like that is just incredible. Like, I don't see him like being a champion ever, but the fact that he's still in the game in my mind is like a huge win. Big shout out to Cub Swanson. I'm a fan. And that fight was tremendous.
Yeah.
Let's move on. What do we got next here? All right, dude, this was also a good fight. All right, so this is your boys, flyweights. All right.
Yeah.
So we've got Manuel Kopp. It is Kopp, right, Max?
Yeah.
Yeah, Manuel Kopp and Bruno Silva. All right, so a couple things about this fight. One, Manuel Kopp looked phenomenal, dude. He looked really, really good and like fast even for a flyweight. It was really awesome. And it was really just a one-way, you know, beating the whole time. Bruno Silva, I don't even think had any good moments in my opinion. So then one, Kopp looked good, and two, Silva didn't look good. There were two things that stood out, and I kind of noticed this like I think into the second round, so like maybe earlier he wasn't doing as bad of a job with this, but one, his hand position, dude. I really wrote some notes, and that was one of the things I said is like I just hate his hand position. He did this the whole time.
Kopp?
No, Silva. So on the one hand, I was like,
so what he did, if you're listening and not watching, just fingers pointed out, like kind of like a DJ like scratching record.
yeah, exactly like that. So first off, it's fingers towards the opponent, which like I don't know. I have conflicting things about that because on the one hand, it's like if you have your fingers out but you don't actually stab him in the eyes, like I don't know. But on the other hand, refs are supposed to enforce that. Keith Peterson was not enforcing that at all. Keith Peterson's had some questionable performances as a ref.
Name one.
Oliveira? Did you see Oliveira Chandler?
Yeah, I watched the whole fight.
And did you see Oliveira like against the cage and Chandler just bombing on the back of his head?
I literally thought all those strikes were legal.
Really?
What do you have to do there? You're in every fighter's meeting. What do you have to do?
Gotta catch an ear.
Yeah. Every single one of them. Something on his hand touched Oliveira's ear.
Really? All right, yeah. I gotta watch that back then because I saw that when I watched it live, and also like I've seen it in like on Instagram and stuff. People hating on it.
Yeah, but those are people who like don't know like the actual rules.
Dude,
like you can't hit the back of the head. We're told in every fighter's meeting, right?
Catch an ear.
If it touches the ear, you're good. If it touches the ear, you're good.
I have to watch that back then.
And not if it touches the ear and forward. If it just has to touch the ear, and you're good.
Max. So, the other thing was. Was it that fight, or it might have been a fight before? There were a bunch of cage grabs that he didn't catch.
Are you talking about? Okay, all right.
It might have been that fight. It might have been one before, but I just remember like in my head being like, Keith Peterson, what you doing?
I've never seen Keith Peterson make a mistake.
Well, actually, I got one for you.
Go ahead.
And then what was I gonna say about whatever? If I forget, I forget. So when Brody was fighting that MMA kid.
Yeah.
And he stopped him with those knees. In the first round, he dropped the kid twice. And then he's like, the kid goes down a third time. And Keith Peterson's like, oh, that one was low. And I was like, dude, no, it wasn't. But like, also, you know, Brody's beating this kid up. I'm not going to like interfere too much. And the second round, fire alarm starts going off. Same thing, just crushing him with knees. Boom, TKO ending. And I was like, all right, cool. Keith Peterson tells us that afterwards. He was like, yeah, man, like, I wasn't really sure what was going on, but I had to do something. But I was like, oh, so you didn't actually see a groin strike there. But I mean, amateurs, whatever, is what it is. The right thing happened anyways, so can't be too upset about it. But this fight, actually, Keith Peterson.
I would thank him for that.
For giving that kid another minute to live.
I mean, you as a coach, what do you want? You want Brody to get more experience, right? Or not?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. More clinch experience while he's tired. Thanks, Keith Peterson. Was this the fight, Max? Was this the fight where the point was taken for the eye gouge?
It wasn't an eye gouge. It was 3 consecutive nut shots.
Was this the fight where there was a dick kick eye gouge combo, or was that? Oh no, that was Marcos. Actually, never mind. I take it back. Yeah, that was Marcos, I think, who did that. Okay, yeah. So in this fight, dude, there were just like 3 bad nut shots against Kopp.
Against
Silva did it. And finally, after the third one, Keith Pearson was like, all right, dude, I got to take a point, which I think was a good decision. Oh, real quick, I just remembered what I was going to say. Sorry, I'm bouncing around. But you were talking about like how like the MMA media and like what's going on Instagram doesn't always like show what's, what's true. So in the last pod, we talked about the Gon Volkov fight, and I was like, I think Gon won that fight, right? And like I might have been like a little, I might have been exaggerating a little bit, like, oh, it was clear. Like, it was definitely close, but I do think Gon won, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing some post on Instagram about like a bunch of different like media people who all said that Volkov
except for
won.
one.
Right. So okay, you saw that too, and I got scared. I was like, yo, was I wrong? And then I watched it back. I was like, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I watched it again, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I still think.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, all right, it was very close, but like, it comes down to the pivotal second round, and I think he won the second round.
Agreed. But yeah, it just goes to show you people are sensationalist. Anyways, so I hated Silva's hand positioning. That didn't get called, but he did get a point taken away from him. Also, if you do this, right, like you show your palms, generally that's to like catch punches and be defensive. Right. He wasn't even doing that. He was still moving. So I'm like, this is literally doing nothing. Like maybe he thinks that he's like fainting or something. I don't know, but Kopp was falling for none of it. That, and also his shot entries were all just like dip his head down like 6 inches to like chest level and then just like step forward. And that just drives me crazy. So I was not happy with that. But Kopp was also doing really, really well and beat him up. Good fight. I think you would have enjoyed it.
Maybe I'll go take a look at it because I do like flyweight. So while we're on this fight, let's go. What's next for Kopp?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Title fight?
Did you see what he said?
Something about Izzy.
Yeah.
Because I did see that they were arguing at a press conference.
So that was old, where he and Kai Kara-France had some sort of issues. And
but Izzy's sitting a seat, like,
right.
There's one person in between Kopp and Izzy, and like Kai Kara-France is his boys. Kai Kara-France is his boy, so Izzy's like,
yeah. And Kopp was still like jawing at him, which I was like, dude, that's just stupid. Like, just shut up. If Izzy decides to, he'll just smash you. So like, chill. Also, after his last fight, he like said some slurs, right? Some things that were very much like, can't be saying that on TV. Ew. So Kopp was, right?
Oh, yeah.
So after this fight, he takes the mic and he goes, don't worry, I'm not going to say anything bad. And he's like, fuck Kai Kara-France, fuck Izzy. Like, just going off. He's like, I know it's on ESPN. So it's looking like he'll fight Kai Kara-France next, which I think makes sense. I think that's a really fun fight.
Does it though? Max, give me the flyweight
Let's look at the rankings.
Here goes the thing. Like, I care less about Kai Kara-France and Manuel Kopp than I do about Alexander Pantoja staying busy.
Hey, that's fair. I mean?
So here's the thing. If we look at these rankings, all right, Royval just fought Pantoja. Moreno just fought Pantoja. Whoever's next, I can't see that far. Alec, there we go. He just took an L too. Somebody.
Was it Moreno?
Yeah, he took an L to Moreno. So you got Kai Kara-France and you got Manuel Kopp, right? Those are the two that I see like who are in striking distance to fight for the title. So I think click on Manuel Kopp and see like what were his last 3. All right, so he did just lose.
Yeah, so he just beat Silva.
All right, so listen,
before he lost
this division is just the most fun division because it's so competitive, and now we're seeing how that's like dramatic, like that like plays a real issue. You know what I mean?
You have
because
one
like,
guy who's a step above
everyone. Like you can't be getting title fights off of one win,
right?
Yeah. You're like, oh, I'm on a 1-fight win streak, and that's what's causing us a problem because Kai Kara-France, I believe, is also on a 1-fight win streak. you know? So maybe they do have to fight, which is unfortunate because now Pantoja doesn't get to make any money. I would like to see, and we're seeing Pantoja needs challengers.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what I would like to see is I would like to see the division not cannibalize itself before it gets to Pantoja.
Yeah.
It's like they're all just
Yeah.
knocking each other off, but no one gets a shot at the top, right?
Right.
You know what it reminds me of? Lobsters trying to crawl out of a bucket, or crabs trying to
in a
crawl
bucket.
out of a bucket. If one gets to the top, the ones in there are going to pull them back down. That's what they're doing here.
So so Cop looked good, and I don't think he got hurt. Maybe his nuts a little bit, but other than that, I think he's all right. Dude, if they have him fight Kai Kara France, like soon, like in like a month or two,
March.
yeah, then I think that would be a great
Yeah, but
title
then one of them just eliminated the other, or Alex could fight one of them in
Right.
February, one of them in May, and then after that, maybe a new contender has started to rise to the top of the division, or maybe enough has happened at 135 to grant Pantoja a jump up.
Right.
Speaking of rankings, while we're here and just his face is right in front of my face, how about Ilia Topuria maybe not coming back to featherweight? That's insane. I thought he would be more likely to go to bantamweight.
That's what I thought. Did you see what he walks at?
They said he walks at 190 out of camp. And what I find crazy about that is every time I watch him fight, he looks like the smaller
Small,
guy.
yeah.
Or like same size guy.
Right.
Aljo was saying that Aljo was bigger than him. I was watching a podcast with Aljo. It was the Simple Man podcast. It's like a B team, like a jiu-jitsu thing podcast. Nicky Rod, Damian
familiar.
Anderson, and Ethan Crownston. And Damian's very curious about this stuff because he is now like 4 or 5-0 pro MMA.
Right.
And he's like getting close to like maybe doing a contender series fight. So he's like picking their brain. And like you could tell like he's very serious about picking their brain.
Right.
And he's like a 35 or so. He's like, what did you cut from? And like trying to get all this info and stuff. And a story got brought up about Aljo. They were at the UFC PI and all his measurements came back bigger than Topuria's, right? And Aljo was like thinking like, he was like, I was always like, why aren't you a bantamweight then? But now I look at it like, oh, maybe I should have been a featherweight.
Right, the whole time.
Right? But even then, so like he doesn't strike me as like a big featherweight.
Also, I think
now
they're
he's
lying.
saying he's not coming back.
I think they're lying on two fronts.
I don't think he's 190 out of camp.
First off, yeah, no way, dude.
I mean, do I think he can get to 190? Yeah, the same way I could get to 200.
Right, exactly.
But that's not good weight.
Not only is it not good weight, it's like, were you regularly at 200 when you were fighting?
No, I like touched there.
Right, exactly.
Like once.
Yeah.
Like at my.
I remember
When I
well.
got home from my honeymoon, I was 199.2, and I was like, yeah.
But you made 155 6 weeks later.
6 weeks later.
Nailed it. So yeah, one, I don't think he gets that big, and two, I think that they are saying this in the same way that like John was saying, like, I don't want to fight, Tom, just so that like, the world, the UFC is like, oh, this is what we want. We want him to defend his title more. Now they can offer.
But who would they want him
or
to
ask
defend
for
his
more
title
money.
against, right? Like number 1 and number 2. Who number 2 should be removed? Is Max? Did Max not officially say he moved up?
Even if he didn't, like,
Whatever. So he's beaten. Yeah, they're like. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there is fresh talent there that he could fight, but dude, it's exciting either way. I'm fired up, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think we've seen the end of him at 45.
Yeah.
But neither here nor there.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move
Back
on
to the card.
From Cop. So yeah, he was chirping at them. So I do think he's going to fight Kai
Petrino
Kara France
Jacoby.
next. All right, so this fight was terrible until it wasn't. Okay, it was super, super boring. It was mostly just Jacoby like backing up, and Petrino throwing single shots. Dude, Petrino needs to learn to cut the cage. It was just so bad. It was. In my notes I wrote after round 2, I said like super boring fight. I said the viewers lost 10-8.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
It was
all right, well, let's
fun.
not give it credence. Move.
Well, okay, well, hold on. It was boring till it wasn't. Jacoby then picked a beautiful right hand, or timed a beautiful right hand and put Petrino out.
Right.
So
That's
good
as much
for
love as we're
Jacoby.
giving. Slide.
But agreed, as much love as you're gonna get,
Look at that, 0 takedown attempts the whole fight. God, this guy's
dude. Yeah,
disgusting.
oh, bro, it was bad.
All right.
dude. Yanez and Marcos, brother. If it wasn't for Cub Swanson, this would have been fight of the night, dude. It was
Yeah.
pretty sick. It was pretty back and forth. Man, I should have reviewed my notes one more time because I'm kind of forgetting exactly how it started out now. But it was back and forth. That's all you really need to know. Yanez with a little more volume, Marcos with a little more heat on his strikes. I remember round 2, Marcos got dropped early. I think he won round 1, and then he came back in round 2, so it's close. Round 3 was, relatively close as well. Yeah, super close fight, very entertaining. Both of them got pretty good skills. The one thing I did not really like, though, was Marcos's kicks. They were all like kind of straight up with no hip turn, which has its place if you're just trying to like get your kick there and like just time it really fast. But like it just didn't look like it had any heat on it. So the way like Pereira throws his kicks, you know what I mean? He gets away with it because he's Pereira and he's so strong that like his kicks do damage. It didn't look like Marcos's kicks were doing damage. So I would like to see that get addressed. Other than that though, fun fight. Yanez should move his head more. Marcos maybe work on his kicks. Super fun fight. Again, if you're looking for like a fast-paced fun fight to like watch, that it's worth watching. Yeah, nothing of note to take away from it. Like I don't expect we're gonna see these guys like shoot through the rankings real quick or anything.
All right,
but fun
is that
fight.
the main card?
No, I believe there's one more on the main card, right? Yeah, dude, this is interesting. Okay, so do you know about this guy on the left, Navajo
Nope.
Sterling? All right, I didn't know about him until this fight either. He is one of the city kickboxing guys, right? So he's with Izzy and them.
Okay.
He's a big light heavyweight. I mean, I don't know if he's super big, but like he's the right size, 6'4". You can see he's pretty lean. You know what I mean? And dude, his striking looked tremendous. Apparently, he's like 22-0 as a kickboxer or something.
Whoa.
The best way I can describe him is he is what we want Olberg to be, right? So like Olberg, we see
How old is
him.
he?
Well,
How old is Navajo?
let me get to that. 27.
No.
So Olberg is like what, 37 or something?
34.
34, right? Which again
34.
isn't like ancient for that weight class, but like I think you mentioned it when we gave our thoughts on him and Jan, and like again, it's just hard to be excited.
Without the circumstances of that division needing some like life, it's like, all right, you're 34, so like you pop in now, like you're a 2-year guy.
Right.
You know?
Even if he is able to make it till he's 40, like that's 6 years. Like, what are you gonna do? I don't know.
Yeah.
And also when we watch Olberg fight, right? Like he looks very technical. He looks fast, but there's not a ton of volume, right? And like, I don't know. He's cool, but dude, Sterling is what you want Olberg to be. Lots of volume, doesn't really slow down. His grappling, I believe, leaves some things to be desired, but it was good enough to not, get beat up. Apparently, this Tacos guy, I forget where he trains, but it's like a big gym. I think it's Killcliff actually.
Oh, okay.
And someone was talking about how his grappling was like really top notch, and he did get takedowns and was not able to, like do too much to Sterling. He potentially, you could argue, he maybe stole the second round with his grappling. Probably not if we're basing it on damage, but he clearly Sterling's defensive grappling is good enough at the moment, but he does definitely needs work. With that said, keep your eye on him, dude. He's looking
All right,
good.
Navajo
His striking
Sterling.
was sharp.
So maybe some life in the light heavyweight division. That
Exactly.
Run
Real
us
quick,
through the prelims.
let's look at the prelims. I didn't see any
I
of
want to
these.
shout out Michael Johnson
Oh yeah, dude.
for the OGs.
For real. Is another one. Is he 40?
No, he's probably 38 if I had to guess.
Okay. Dude, nailed it.
Oh, that's the homie.
Dude,
Yeah.
Michael Johnson on any given night could beat anyone. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, he can. Dude,
people sometimes
I just
forget.
always been a big fan of Michael Johnson.
Dude, southpaw, good hands, like decent, wrestling. Also, did he give Khabib like the most trouble on the feet?
Yeah, he might have.
Yeah,
I could see that. So shout out to Michael Johnson, who did get a performance of the night for his second round knockout.
So then the other one that we should discuss, there's actually a couple things to say here. Is it Joel or Joel Alvarez? Again, didn't see the fight, but I saw some highlights, bro. He knocked this dude out and submitted him in the same fight. It was nuts.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. So he's, I believe he's got 22 wins, 22 finishes.
Holy smokes.
So like,
Is he 22-0?
No, I think he has 1 or 2 losses.
Okay.
Let's take a look. That's weird.
22-3.
22-3, yeah, but 100% finish rate.
Man, that's a hell of a record.
dude, isn't it? Like,
22-3, dude. Sign me up. I'd take that.
so
Just be sweet.
yeah, I wouldn't mind having that record.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, for not having seen the fight, yeah, I think he's someone to keep our eye on for sure. Was he 31? What weight class is this?
55s.
50. Dude, he's just in his prime now.
Yeah,
Like,
he's ready to get
he's
it
ready to pop
cracking.
off. Go
right.
back real quick. So then we've got Woodson and Padilla. I don't know however you say it. Dude, both featherweights, both of them 6'2", 6'3".
No way.
Way. Bro, so imagine
Ridiculous.
my height at 145. Like, that's ridiculous.
I don't believe it. I think they're lying.
Even if they're lying, even if they're 6'1", like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, my senior year of college boxing, making 65 was like a real problem and like really impacted my fighting. These dudes are getting 20 pounds lighter than that at the same height that I'm at.
Woodson's 6'2.5" listed on there.
Yeah, dude, even if that's WWE height and he's like 6'1", that's still unbelievable.
Dude, I mean, I don't know. You just get to tell them how tall you are. They don't measure you. You should be like, yeah, I'm 6'6".
Dude, you know what's funny? You know how you do that for like your driver's license? Like, how tall are you? And most people like say higher than they are.
Yeah.
When I was 16, I got my license. The last time I'd been measured, I was 6 feet tall. So I was like, oh, I'm 6 foot. I was probably like 6'1", 6'1 and a half, something like that at that point. So then I go back to like get it renewed or whatever. And I was like, hey, so like, this isn't accurate anymore. I'm a little taller than 6 foot. Like, can I get this updated? And they're like, yeah, go wait in that line. I was like, guess I'm
Never
6
mind.
foot. Yeah, I didn't watch any of the rest of these, nor do I think that they're that important.
All right, we're done. Cool. What's next?
So, what's our next topic, Max?
Let's go to here. I'll tell you what our next topic is. Let's go talk about the real important fight on Saturday night. And we'll talk about Luke the Martian Martin. But before, let's talk a little bit about what happened before the fights.
Brother, we were supposed to have 2 fights that night.
Supposed to have 2.
So
Joe Layman was supposed to be making his 3rd walk to the cage. Joe currently 2-0. Took this fight on very short notice.
Yep.
Right? And then just clue me in on some more things.
So everything seems to be good, you know what I mean? Like, he's on weight, he goes to go make weight, and his opponent, I guess, just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And later...
Which is weird because his opponent had 6 fights.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, showed a level. His opponent was 3-3. Joe's coming in 2-0. His opponent's 3-3. His opponent literally has 300% experience over Joe. But usually, like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you catch a guy who's like maybe like a debuter or
an 0-1.
An 0-1 or whatever, and then they no-show it. You're like, you're bummed, but you're like, I could have predicted this potentially.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Not someone with 6 fights.
Did you see what Joe posted? That kid's like Facebook message or whatever?
Yeah, he posted his Facebook message. The guy was like, "Oh, it hurt my shoulder," and like I guess didn't feel like telling anybody.
Well, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna need surgery," but meanwhile, I guess there was like no like official diagnosis. So this dude just like telling himself he needs surgery. Also, I believe in that message he mentioned that he's like gonna go pro or something, and I was like, dude, if you were even considering going pro, after being a 3-3 and then no showing this, like, you might want to reconsider, buddy.
Well, here goes the thing. He made a whole Facebook post about how he's not going to be able to fight tonight, but didn't inform anybody. So Joe drives all the way to Ohio, cuts weight, drives all the way to Ohio, and weighs in. Like, how does this dude think that that's cool at all?
Yeah, dude, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. So, sorry, Joe. Name of the game. Unfortunately, there's some dudes who are very unprofessional.
I do feel like that's happening less and less nowadays, though.
It is. Back in the day, that was much more common.
Yeah.
But that's a bummer. But we still got 1 fight that night.
So tell me about it.
Luke the Martian. So he made weight. Everything's good, right? So he was fighting the kid who was their champion.
He's the champ.
Right?
He's the 145-pound MadeMen amateur champ.
Yep.
The fight was not a title fight, though, correct?
Right.
Right. It was not a title fight due to Luke coming off of a loss. Mm-hmm. So,
and there might have been something because it was like by a
finish, yeah.
I forget. Doesn't really matter. It's amateurs. We're here for experience.
Yeah.
So when someone of Luke's skill loses a fight, that next fight's really important, right?
Yeah.
Because if you start to go on a skid now and you lose 2 in a row, that starts to like really wear on you mentally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously you don't want to see that happen. This kid's a champ, so like, hey, this is gonna be a tough fight, a little bit short notice, but dude, Luke came out super, super confident. One of the things he told me in the back, he's like, I'm taking the middle. Like, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna take the middle. He's like, if I have to fight for it, I will. I was like, dude, I'll love to hear that.
Wow.
Let's get it. Like, I was all amped up. So he runs out there, dude, takes the middle. Striking looks good. Luke and I have had a couple very specific things that we've been trying to work on striking wise, and he showed off at least I want to say there's like 3 things that I'm like, we really need to improve these in the next like couple fights. At least 2 of them he nailed, and I was like, all right, we're moving the right direction for sure. And I mean, dude, his like shot entries are just tremendous.
They're just like so good. Like I was telling you, I was like, I can't even I can't teach that, right? Like that's a flow state that you have to get to, like to be able to connect your striking to your wrestling like that. And based off the style of wrestler he was, like I knew that, like I told him, I think before he even had an amateur debut, I was like, one day there's just going to be like an epiphany where this connects with this.
Yep.
And you're just going to skyrocket, right? Because I could just tell by the way that he would move. I was like, the way that you wrestle, like this translates to MMA wrestling really well, you know, because he was like loose on the outside. It's kind of like an outside shooter. When you're a heavy hand fighter, not that being a heavy hand fighter means you won't be a good MMA wrestler, but it just doesn't one-to-one translate, you know, because that heavy hand fight's gone.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But yeah, he was really using his striking and his movement and his footwork well to combine in his striking to his takedown attempts.
Absolutely.
And you can tell a lot of times, like, I bet, I didn't even talk to him about this. I'm just assuming, but we're just going to go ahead and assume I'm right, like I typically am. But I don't even think he's like thinking of shooting. I think it's just like whoop, 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 and like he's like, holy shit, my body just shot. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, it's like, yep, just
exactly. So in the same way that like GSP and Danaher and the whole team, like they modeled GSP's shots after Pernell Whitaker.
Yeah.
We at first, what I got with Luke based on his like flowy style is I was like, okay, a lot of wrestlers are like real tight and like it's hard to get them to move their head. I was like, oh, this is cool. I can use his flowy style to get him moving his head. And now that he's like really developing some like good boxing style head movement, he's using that also for his shots. And like it's just this like self-perpetuating cycle where one supports the other and it just keeps building. And like, man, he's gonna be a problem for
I
people.
think one thing that probably is gonna go unnoticed a lot to like maybe like even the trained eye is how he will take a shot from the same position he will throw a strike from.
Yes.
So that way it's blended perfectly. You know what I mean? Like it's not like his level change is like snuck in there with his striking.
Yes.
To the point where you don't know, is this gonna be that right hand? Is this gonna be that lead hook, or is this gonna be a single leg?
Exactly.
Like all the initial form of the beginning of it all is the exact same. So you can't get a tell on it.
Yeah, dude. It was really good.
And then that makes it all interchangeable.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So happy with all of that.
I was happy with his kicks.
I was happy with his kicks. Yep, that was another thing that I was happy with.
And I was happy with his knees.
I was mostly happy with his knees. At the level he's at.
Why were you happy with his knees? What exactly?
The number one reason, and you can see in that fight really, really well, because his opponent throws his knees the way that I call it like MMA fighter knees.
Yeah,
right?
like up.
They go up, right? And they just slide up the body. And like, you're kind of crouched. So like they make impact, but it's just not the same thing. And Luke's knees were going in, and he was throwing them with intent. And some of them had some really nice setups too. You know what I mean? Like really good Thai
little,
style.
like kind of like an over under like an over under turn push with like a little like foot sweep-ish motion to get the hips back and boom.
Exactly. So really happy to see that. Definitely want to keep developing his clinch game. If you take someone with Luke's level of wrestling and you get him like even if you got him like a low level like Thai style, like it would work against like low level like pro Thai fighters. That taken into MMA, game changer. You know what I mean? So he's right on track with that. Very happy with that. And then the last point I really have to touch on with Luke is he got in the same position that he lost his last fight in. I wouldn't say like exactly the same, like arm in the, lock and everything. But he's got a kid underneath him who's moving his hips and at one point threw up like a triangle armbar-ish type of, threat. And Luke didn't freak out. He didn't like, freeze there. Fought through it, kept squaring up the hips,
Yeah, it's definitely a step in the right direction. The next step is to punish them for that.
Exactly.
Right? It's not to just be like, oh, okay, like I defended the offensive attempt, but like, you use that offensive attempt in motion to score, similar to like, if someone took a shot, you down block, go behind. Like, you know what I mean? Like someone's shooting on me and I'm down blocking and stuffing the shot, down block, down block, down block. That's great. That's great. But you know what's better? Down block, go behind.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I want to see off these potential sub attempts.
I agree.
Or, basically potential attempts is not just shutting it down as he did this fight, but carrying it on into like a rhythm and emotion,
Get into his offense.
Getting his offense off of it. Yep.
But again, just seeing him in that position and like, you know, working through that, in my mind, everything I wanted to see for this fight. So that's pretty cool. Luke, I don't think that Mike and I are going to tell you exactly what you're going to be doing next.
No, this one's a meet. This one's not a pod broadcast one. This is a meeting because we got to go different directions. And it's honestly, you're going to take them on one road, I'm going to take them on another road, and then we'll reconverge later.
Exactly.
But, you know, we should get together and get a 3-month plan. Let's get a first quarter.
Yep.
You know, we're at the end of the year. Perfect time. You just finished off the year with a fight in December. Enjoy your holidays. And then we'll get the plan together during the holidays. So that way,
you know what to expect.
Jan 1st, beginning of the first quarter, you're ready to start running.
So we'll get with you, Luke. Anything else to add on that?
No, let's run off of that. That was good.
All right, so real quick, we're not going to spend too much time on this. And unfortunately, it was just one of those weekends where there was just so much fighting, so much traveling, so much, you know, just stuff going on. I unfortunately didn't get to watch the whole fight, but you know, we'd been talking about Daniel Rodriguez and Ritwada in the finals of the RWS, and boy, oh boy, did they make it to that. So actually, maybe we mentioned this last time. In the beginning of the whole tournament, Rodriguez was like, I don't even know why we're doing this. We all know it's going to be me and Ritwada, right? And like the only one who could have potentially thrown that off would have been Tanan Chai, and he got dusted off. So it was like, yo, it's exactly what they said, right?
Yeah.
And it's really exciting because you have two guys who have both been champions. Ritwada had won the World Series at a lower weight class last year, I believe. Or wait, no, did Yadwicha? It doesn't really matter. He's really good. And then you obviously have Rodriguez, who was a champion before. Both southpaws, both really like aggressive with their hands. Ritwada like counters a whole lot, you know, sits back, hits that big left elbow, and dude, they got after it. We watched the highlights right before this. First 2 rounds, it looked like Ritwada had taken them based on what the live judges said.
Yeah.
And then Rodriguez came back strong. But dude, I mean, just in the highlights we saw crazy elbow exchanges. Rodriguez's pressure is just like unbelievable.
I would say one thing that we saw in like the expedited version that we watched was just like such a shift in momentum.
Yes.
Like the momentum, like just like a snowball effect, got rolling, and it just got worse and worse and worse.
And that's what I've seen like Rodriguez do, just to like everyone. Like he's gone one direction. Even if he's losing, he is just aggressive, moving forward. And you just like can't break him, you know? So super, super cool. I'm definitely going to watch that back, see the whole thing. So congrats to Daniel Rodriguez. Again, if you guys aren't like into stadium Muay Thai at all and you're looking for like a fun way to kind of get into it, RWS has like the promotion, like, or promotional value that you might expect to see on like the UFC. Like the, you know, it's not just like 2 dudes fighting. There's like, you know, the names and like where they're from and, you know, the rounds and all that, like, you know, graphics and such. The walkouts are cool. We just looked at the new Raja.
The Raja's stadium is sick.
I don't know if that's set up right now or that's just like the plan for it, but like, dude, the stadium is sick. I think we're gonna see stadium Muay Thai really on the up and up, and I think that like as combat sports in general grow, in the same way that like MMA growing is pulling up Jiu Jitsu, I think we're gonna see the same thing with Muay Thai and kickboxing and stuff. So, yeah, very, very cool to see. And congrats to Daniel Rodriguez.
Nice. You want to hit that or you want to pull that to the end?
No, let's hit it real quick because it's a little bit old news at this point. It won't take me long to explain. All right, so I had this in the notes from last week, right? But last week we were rushed due to some outside events, and we really only just got to cover what we covered. So I asked both of you guys before this. I was like, yo, you guys know what's going on with Tim Kennedy? And both of you were kind of like a little bit out of it.
I have no idea.
I had stumbled upon this YouTube rabbit hole. Like I saw some video that was like, is Tim Kennedy lying about, you know, war stuff basically? And I was like, interesting, let's see what's good. And bro, I went down a rabbit hole. It was nuts. So I told you about this so Tim Kennedy wrote a book, right? And it's mostly about like his like exploits in war, right? And he does talk about some MMA stuff. And I was like, oh, this is a dude who's like, he was in the Strike Force days, and like I do like, you know, reading some like war, you know, books from time to time. So I was like, yeah, let me check this book out. I read it, and as someone who like hasn't been in war, doesn't really know, you know, that much about it, I'm just like, wow, dude's wild. That's crazy, right? I just like, right on. I have no reason to like not believe everything that's in it. Basically, you've got all these guys who are like in special forces now who are like making these videos, and they're like, listen, like basically they say like, I understand how someone like me like wouldn't get it, but like all of this is like just doesn't make sense. And then there's certain things that they have proven are like not the case. So like the one, they had like an old tweet of his where he said that he'd like gotten Valor Awards and on, you know, some deployment or whatever, and they had like his sheet up that has like all his, you know, information on it from like the military. No Valor Awards. Like that's not good.
No.
He had mentioned how he got hurt in war, and maybe mentioned like he got a Purple Heart. I don't know, I forget if that was like actually on there. No Purple Heart. And then there were dudes who were like in the bases that like he was in, and they were like, listen, the stories he's telling, like maybe they're somewhat maybe based kind of in truth, but like there's no way that they happened the way that he did. And like, dude, it's just like when you start hearing about it, there's all kinds of stuff that like, again, me reading it the first time, I was like, cool, I guess that's how it works. And then like when they're explaining it, like he talked about having a sniper rifle like in a Humvee, and then they were like, dude, there's no space for a sniper rifle in a Humvee. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And like, dude, it's just like the whole thing, they just like debunk everything.
Dude, that's
so
rough.
dude, if you check out Tim Kennedy's Instagram, one of the things that he talked about was he was like, in this one battle, he'd taken a backpack and he filled it with grenades. He's like, there must have been like 50 grenades in there or whatever. And he says that like in the middle of it, he's like, man, I've been running through these. He's like, I must have been halfway. So it means he, you know, used 25 grenades. One of the other dudes I saw in this video, he was like, I had one particular deployment where it was like, we were in this situation where like I needed grenades. And he was like, so I took a bunch of them. I took 5. And so if you go on Tim Kennedy's, and the whole book is just him tossing grenades left and right. So if you go on any of his Instagram posts, it's just tons of people like, I wonder how many grenades he used and like stuff like that, dude. It's looking not so good for Tim Kennedy.
Man, that's a downer.
And you know what's like the worst part of it? Dude, Tim Kennedy's life is wild. You know, one of the best fighters of that time.
Yeah.
Was he a Strikeforce champ?
I don't think so. No.
But either way, like fought for it, I think. Definitely fought, you know, like some of the best UFC fighters of that time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, even just going to war as a special forces guy is like an incredible thing in and of itself, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to lie about this. And the fact that he did, dude, it's just, it's not looking good for him. So.
Damn, and it's crazy, like, that you like, people are gonna pick up, like, you're doing books and shit, like someone, like, don't you know someone's gonna say something?
Yeah, like honestly, I'm shocked it took this long. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah, seriously.
So if you have some time and you want to kill and you want to, you know, get some information that is juicy gossip, just start looking at some Tim Kennedy stuff on YouTube.
All right, I might, probably won't, but
that's why I'm informing you right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into what.
All right, dude. We had the World Championships.
I really want to hear about.
We had the World Championships this weekend. They ran Thursday the 11th through Saturday. No, Thursday the 12th through Saturday the 14th. And we had a contingent there. So
hold on. Are we going to start with other people or are we going to start with you?
I was thinking we'd go chronological order.
Okay. So you're last then?
Well, I would be towards the end.
Okay.
I could go last if you wanted, just because you're going to have questions about it. So if you wanted me to, I could just go last.
I was hoping we could start with you.
You can start with me if you want.
Let's start with you. So you went into this like super healthy.
Yeah. So my last training session was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I hurt my back. So what happened here? Let me think of the order. So the Wednesday prior to not like the Wednesday directly before Thanksgiving.
Right.
The Wednesday prior, I was working out. Had a good practice, and then afterwards we're finishing up the practice drilling. We're going to drill 4 hard takedowns to a dominant position. I hit my 4 hard, and I'm drilling with Logan, and Logan's doing a foot sweep, right? So he slides me by, he does a foot sweep, and I land just straight on my butt, and I feel this like shock pain drive up my spine, right? And it like gave me like a flash,
Yeah.
you know, and I was like, oh, and like, you know, but nothing came of it. I was like, fine. You know what I mean? And Logan was like real concerned. I was like, oh, you know, just one of those weird things. And it was fine. And I'm kind of trying to squeeze a bunch of like hard training into a short amount of time for this World Championships. So I'm doing like 2-a-days, like hard and stuff like that. So Monday, Tuesday, prior to Thanksgiving, I'm ripping 2-a-days. I'm going hard on both of them, which would have been totally, I'm super accustomed to it. Would have been totally fine, but I think I'm learning. You know, I'm not as young as I once was. So Wednesday morning, I'm just like, this is before Thanksgiving. I'm just like not feeling it, but I'm like, I got to hit a hard workout in because, you know, I'm only going to get a 1-a-day in on Thursday, Friday. You know, and I'm like, so trying to push through, and Warren's like, you need to like, maybe you shouldn't go hard today. And I'm like, no, I got to, because I got to get this weight off. Because I'm going down a weight class from where I competed at Pans. And I like to use competition too, because sometimes I get a little out of control with my weight. Competition to like give me a deadline, right? If I don't have a deadline, if like, you know what, I want to get walking around 200, I want to be walking around at like 185, right?
Right.
If I don't have a deadline, well, at least
the
so
deadline's
far,
never.
I've never gotten it. Right? Without a deadline, I've never once achieved a weight goal without a deadline.
Right.
With a deadline, I've never not achieved it. Right? You know what I mean? So, I get a rolling with Warren, and he's like, yeah, you're not feeling good today, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'm pushing through. So I go to roll with Farman immediately after. We're going, I get a little like 2-on-1 wrist, and I'm going to go snap, sweep to the right. I go snap, sweep to the right. As soon as my knee hits the mat, boom, just excruciating shock pain up through my spine.
And this is after you'd already had that with Logan.
Yes, this is the week after. And now the one with Logan, like, I didn't even think of it until like...
It happened.
Honestly, until like last week. Like I didn't even correlate the two with Wednesday to Wednesday. I didn't even correlate it. Like I forgot that it happened. Right. But yeah, my knee hits the ground, and it's like it's almost like a jamming jar.
Yeah.
And boom, and I drop to my back, and I'm like, ugh! And then like I can't stand up straight. I can hardly breathe. I get myself to the position where I can leave. I leave. I go straight to...
So I saw you right before you left.
Oh, that's right. You walked in the gym.
I walk in. I see you walking down. I'm like, bro, why aren't you training? And you are hobbling bad. And you're like, bro.
I couldn't stand up straight to save my life, dude. I was in a bad spot. Now, I've had this happen to me 5 to 8 times now over the past 10 years or whatever. So I go to MedExpress. I get in there. They're like, oh, shit, what'd you do? And I'm like, I was wrestling. And I feel like the doctor looked at me and like... first gave me the look of like, why are you wrestling?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like, she has my sheet. She's like 37 years old. Why are you like type of thing?
Right.
And then like looked at me a little harder and like maybe like saw like some wrestling mark, and she's like, oh, like I'm reading this, but I'm assuming she thinks that I'm a coach, right?
Okay,
and then that's why I'm still wrestling or whatever.
Right.
And she was like, I'm assuming this has happened before. And I was like, yeah, probably about 5 times the last 10 years. She was like, well, what do you normally do? And I was like, normally like a steroid, like a prednisone pack and some muscle relaxers. She was like, that's exactly what I would recommend. We'll write you a script for it. She lays me down on the table, does some like lifting my legs, and I'm like, she's pushing against it. And she's like, oh yeah. And then I go, boom, next thing you know, I got hurt at like 11 a.m. I'm in the pharmacy, 1 p.m. I'm all set, ready to, on the road to recovery. That's Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I have 16 days from time of injury until first match.
Yeah.
At that moment in time, I decide I am going to still compete.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, the first live training I'm going to do is going to be my match, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know
this is it's all about recovery at this point.
And I got so serious about my recovery.
Sure
right?
did.
I was in the sauna or the hot tub every day, every single day for at least an hour, and one or the other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, getting, like stretching and doing things. And I started to think, like, I wonder if I get this reoccurring injury due to an imbalance. Would you say that's likely the case?
Imbalance might not be the right word. It might just be like a lower back strength issue.
Well, I think it is, and like you would know better than me, but I think it's because I have no flexibility / mobility in my hamstrings.
Yes, that would certainly
So
contribute.
I started stretching my hamstrings, and bro, I can't believe how you feel after you like it. I felt like my legs were foreign to me.
Right.
I felt like an alien. I was like, dude, that's what it feels like after a hard stretch. Because I would like sauna, I would stretch hard.
Yeah.
Hard. Like my whole legs would be like numb.
Right.
You know? And then like whenever they would come back, I'd be like, dude, like I feel like they're not my legs.
Right, you're ready to rip head kicks.
Yeah. I felt like, honestly, you plugged me into like somebody else's legs.
Yeah, you got some
I'm
bionic legs.
I'm like, these don't feel like they're attached to me. But whatever. So I took it real serious, and I got better. I got better. I did some like light like rolling with some people. I did some light rolling with Vince, Parker,
Paul.
Claire, Erica, and Paul, right? So I had 5 people who I did some light rolling with, the largest of which was Vince, who's a little bit smaller than me, but Vince also so skilled that like
he's not the guy who's going to hurt you.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to get hurt. And then everybody else, also very skilled. Everybody's very skilled, but like way smaller than me.
Right.
Yeah, so like everything was good. I was fired up. Thursday we're at the World Championships, and I'm on Friday, and I warm everybody who competed Thursday. I warmed up with the exception of Lucas Siebert, but I warmed everybody up, and like I was like, dude, I felt good, like completely like injuries 100% healed.
Right.
So it's my turn. Friday morning, me and Warren, we're hitting a warm up, and I just do a little like switch step arm drag, like boom, and when my foot hits the mat, boom, back, completely gone. Warren just like handled it so well. He was just like laid down. He like rubbed me out. You know what I mean? Like was like stepping on my back and stuff. And then he just got me in the right mental state to compete with the capacity I was in. He was like, hey, he's like, all right, we're front headlock, this and that. Like, dude, like Warren's like confidence, like in my ability did not shake at all.
Right.
Although like in hindsight, like I know he was like, this is fucking done.
Yeah.
Like, this is done.
Yeah.
Like I can't like curl.
Right.
Like I can't do like a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to like still compete, you know? And I thought that it would do a lot for me to still compete rather than to not compete, right?
Yeah.
And my match is in like 20 minutes,
Right.
you know? So I go out there and I just do the best I can. I ended up losing 5-2. I got taken down by a dude who like no shot he could take me down. Like,
Here's the
in real
thing.
life.
And granted, I am super biased because I think you're like the best dude in jiu-jitsu in the world. But like, if I ever hear about you getting taken down in a tournament, I'm like, something's wrong.
So we were in the middle of like a hand fight exchange, and my back seized up, so I had to stand up straight up and down like, and he like shot.
Right. Yeah.
And like I couldn't defend. But there were moments in the match where I was still doing like good shit. Like I finished on a sprint.
How'd you get your points?
Takedown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I guess it would technically be a sweep because I was coming up from a bottom position.
Like a wrestle.
But yeah, I wrestled up with a single and then like cracked it down.
Which reminds me, I didn't want to interrupt your flow earlier, so I'm going to do it now. You were talking about how getting hurt, like with Logan. I think I told you this when we recorded the injury pod. You know, the 2 times I can think of, and it wasn't an acute thing. It wasn't like these 2 instances made my neck hurt, but like when like I felt it like really twinge badly.
Yeah.
And like when I had to go get the muscle relaxers, wrestling up on Logan and Big Bob.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, but I'm really proud. I sprinted it out till the end. Like
That's
at the
sick.
end, like he's like holding on to my leg for dear life and stuff, and I'm just throwing the sink at him.
Dude.
You know, like I finished off going for like a knee bar and a toe hold. Like 2
that's
things that I don't do.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know, Warren was giving me terrific advice too, and also like, you know, like everybody came to support me too. Like everybody who was there watching me. And Lucas Jones just like yelling out, like in the one, there was one time, because Warren didn't tell everybody that I just hurt my back in warm-ups.
Right,
you know?
right.
So we go out there and I'm in like bottom half guard or something. Oh no, I think I'm playing like a De La Riva or something. And Lucas Jones is like, invert. And I shake my head no. And when Lucas was telling me this story about like what he said literally everybody just stopped, turned and looked at him like, what are you saying?
Dude, that's hilarious for 2 reasons. 1, because you're hurt, so like that's not happening. And 2, there are like 20 other techniques that you would use in your style before you're
for
going to be inverted.
For sure. But I can. Like honestly, if my back wasn't hurt, here goes the thing. If my back wasn't hurt, I probably wouldn't be in that position. But had I been in that position with a healthy back, I'm going to assume this dude is so good that there's no chance I'm going to invert.
Right.
In order for him to put me there. But let's say I was jagging around and got there, like it would have been a good time to invert.
Yeah.
And I would have gone. I would have tried it. But whatever. So one of the things, or some of the things I'm taking away from it is that really helped me. So like you can use like external things to help you internally and then vice versa. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go do this match and I'm going to learn something from it. I'm going to gain some experience on competing with a serious injury. I'm going to gain some experience on when your tools are taken away because now I can't shoot.
Right.
And that's what I'm best at.
Yep.
Right. So it's like, okay. And all these things. And I'm telling myself this is good because I'm a coach. And now I'm going to be able to relate to my athletes when these situations occur, and I'm going to have exact reference points. Oh, in 2024, I did this, right? And this is how I did it, and this is the process in which I went through, right? And like, you know, and things like that. So in turn, by being a coach and having athletes that I thought that could benefit from me doing this, it helped push me to do it, which in turn benefited me personally, because then I got the personal growth as well. So a lot of like, I credit me going through with this, even though I was like very much not super capable, to Warren and all of the people that I'll be coaching, because I used them as my excuse to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I probably shouldn't have done the match, but I used them as my excuse. So they all helped me, push me to do it, thinking that I'm going to get this data that's eventually going to help them.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like by doing, it sounds like I was trying to do something like, oh, it's so selfless. He's going to go do this so that way he can learn for his athletes. No, I mean, that's true.
Well, yeah.
But also the exact other side,
Right.
having that crutch allowed me to get to the mat. You know?
And also, like, having them, like, be, like, your reason for competing.
Yeah.
Like, that, it's not a me or them type of situation. You know what I mean? It's both. It really is both. And I think that that's, like, a really good example of something else, too, for, like, our guys who hopefully are listening to this, is that, like, there's a lot of value, not just for the team, but for you personally in being a team player. You know what I mean? So, like, helping other guys with their fight sims, you know, holding pads for guys when they got fights coming up, like, all this kind of stuff.
Being there for the weight cut.
Like, all this stuff. At first, you're like, oh, this is good for the team because I'm helping out. But also, think about everything we just mentioned,
good for you.
right?
Yeah.
You help with someone's weight cut. Someone ran into an issue, and then, like, even if they had to call us and we tell them what to do, now you know how to solve that problem.
Yeah,
you know
now
I mean?
you got experience.
You holding pads for someone before their fight. Maybe you realize, like, oh my God, holding pads, I'm noticing this kid does this. Oh, well, A, I could help clean that up right before the fight, or B, like, that's going to help my training. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's, like, what you touched on there is really, really important for guys to hear, is that, like, being a team player is always the right call. Well, I shouldn't say always. Like, obviously fighting is a selfish sport, and depending on how far you take it. But generally speaking, being a team player is, like, almost always the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty fired up that you did that, dude. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, and I would say to piggyback on being a team player, like, dude, I love being a part of the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Like, that's what there was a large talk about that at Worlds with the contingent that we were with. It was just like, you know, how cool is it to, like, it's such an individual sport, but how cool is it to be on a team?
Yes.
You know,
absolutely.
at it. You know,
like,
what I
dude,
mean?
that's what makes this, like, all right, we have a podcast. Why do we have a podcast? Because we have a fight team. You know what I mean? Like, if we didn't have a fight team, what would we be sitting here talking about? I wouldn't
be a coach. Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you and I love what we do for a living. It's because of our team. You know what I mean? Like, it's not because, you know, it's not just because we're not sitting in an office. That's great, but, like, we love what we do. You know what I mean? And it's because of the people we do it with.
It sure is. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's pretty sick. How did everyone else do?
All right. So let's run it. So I'm going to kind of run this, like, roughly in chronological order. That way, I feel like I'll be able to keep it together a little better. So I'm going to talk Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay. So hold on, real quick. Break it down. How does that work? Is it by rank? Is it by age?
It's by it all. So, you are in your rank and age division, okay? So, like, for example, I was a Masters black belt, right? And Masters black belts go on Friday, right? We'll use Lucas Siebert as an example. He's adult blue belt. Adult blue belt went on Thursday, right? Claire, adult brown belt, went on Thursday. If you were a purple belt in the Masters, purple Masters went on Thursday. Adult black belts, which is the premier one, right? Adult, that, you know, that's the primary one. They go Friday and Saturday because they split them into 2 days. So, like, you go up, if you make it, if you're a woman on Friday in the black belt division, if you make it to the finals, then your finals are on Saturday. If you're in the males division, if you make it to the semifinals and finals are on Saturday.
Gotcha.
But everybody else is just 1 day tournament. So, yeah, let's go through it. So, Thursday was our busiest day. All right. So, because we had, what did we have? I think we had 7 people competing on Thursday. So I'm just going to run through them real quick. All right. We started off with Ryan Conklin, blue belt out of the Zealy School. Does travel. I've seen him in the Strip, Bridgeville, Monroeville. I've seen him at all 4 of the schools. And he competes, you know, pretty regularly. Like, he traveled up to Toronto. I want to say Toronto, maybe it was like Niagara. He went to Canada to do an ADCC Open. He's gone to Vegas to do ADCC Opens before, and stuff like that. And he has done some IBJJFs. So he went, it was his first World Championships. He had a really good match. One of the things that, and a lot to take away, like, he's more of a point scoring threat from the bottom position. And he wasn't able to essentially outpull the guy, like, get his turn on bottom, you know, in the way that, like, the game is played. Like, that's the other thing. Like, this is not just, like, pure jiu-jitsu. It's not like go out there and go for the kill. Like, that's always good or whatever. But, like, this is a
sport jiu-jitsu.
It's a sport. Yeah. There's a game involved. There's tactics involved in it. You know what I mean? So getting better at those tactics will definitely, you know, help everybody who was competing this weekend. So yeah, Ryan ended up very competitive, but lost his first match. He just couldn't get to the positions that he's most dangerous from. You know, and that's just something that, you know, you need to work on
For sure.
Also, we had Red, Andy Dwyer. Also, kind of the same boat as Ryan, like Zealy guy, teaches some kids up in Zealy as well. Strong competitor, competes fairly frequently as well, does those same types of tournaments and things of that nature. He had a great first match. Now, here goes the thing. Recently, he's been working on wrestling, right? And when it came down to it, he was down a little bit on points, gave up, I believe it was a pass at one point in time. And now he's got to wrestle it down. And dude, he wrestled hard for the chase the takedown. For the last minute. Opponent's running. And he stayed on it until, I was like, till the final bell. You go till the final bell. And it got to the point where there was not enough time to score enough points.
Right.
Like, let's say, like, you know, you need 5 points. Well, you need a takedown and a pass.
Yeah.
And in order to get a pass, you have to hold it for 3 seconds.
Right.
And there's only 4 seconds left.
Yeah.
This cannot be accomplished. Still, until the bell.
Love it.
So, yeah, it's
Love
really
it.
great. And again, like, that's his first Worlds. So that's kind of like, you know, that's a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I mean, the other thing is, too, is like anybody who loses their first match at Worlds, like I just lost my first match at Worlds. Half of the people there lose their first match.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Because everybody has a first match.
Yep.
One person won and one person didn't.
Yep.
So, yeah, like, you know, 50% of the athletes lost their first match.
Yeah.
You know, so just part of it. We had Erica. Erica, fairly new blue belt. I promoted her to blue belt in June just because of competition, right? She's only been training now just barely a year. Barely a year. And she's already won 2 IBJJF Opens at blue belt, right? So,
That's
like,
sick.
already good success, like, at what we consider a top level for blue belts.
Right.
You know? And I was telling her, I was like, you know, like, honestly, like, on the scale of things, like, you're, like, due your blue belt, like, on this next promotion, which our next promotions will be February 8th. I was like, had you not been such, like, a avid
Outlier.
and, like such a good competitor, right? Like, and we needed to challenge you, right? Like, you shouldn't even be a blue belt yet. Your blue belt should be coming now. And look, you've already won 2 Opens at blue belt, a handful of smaller tournaments like Grappling Industries and Fuji's, and you just competed in your first World Championships, all before you're
You should've
technically
actually.
supposed to be a blue belt, you know?
Dude.
And she took it in stride. She had a really, really strong match. She ended up, you know, having to open up towards the end to try to make a comeback and, you know, left herself open for an arm lock and got arm locked. But just a really good first tournament. And like I said, like,
For that amount of
she's
experience.
basically wrestling up. Also out of weight class. Like, concerned with, like, weight. Like, on Wednesday night, she didn't even come with the team to cut weight because she didn't need to cut weight because she's so far under. She was on weight for the weight class below her. And she was like, oh, I didn't know I would be that light. And I'm like, dude, if that's even remotely in the scope, you're in the wrong weight class.
Yeah, dude.
The other thing is, though, is you have to register for your weight class. Like, final was December 2nd.
Right.
Like, that's the last day you could have changed your weight class.
And especially if you didn't, like, grow up doing combat sports, or you're just, like, not in that
Right.
world. Like, you
And-
just don't know what...
Yeah, and I think
You know.
she won her Opens up at this weight as well. So I
Right.
think she just felt comfortable, like, not needing to worry about the weight. But I think that is something to consider moving forward for next year's World Championships. Is like, if you can make weight for the weight class, like, she was on weight for the
Right.
weight class below.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, okay, we're a little bit out of weight class here.
Hold on.
Although I do think that doesn't impact her too much. She's really strong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to that lower weight class and she'll be crushing.
Yes.
2 questions I got for you. Okay, so one, let me ask both of them or I'm going to forget. One, how much training experience do you think the average blue belt competitor has at Worlds? And 2, does Worlds have a white belt division?
Worlds does not have a white belt division, but white belts are,
Included
I believe,
in-
permitted to enter into the blue belt.
Right, okay.
But yeah, there is no white belt division for Worlds.
That's what I
and
figured.
the average blue belt, I would say, has 3 years experience. I would say that would be the average.
Right.
3 to 4 years experience.
Makes sense.
As we move on to the next athlete, Isa. So she trains with us like whenever she's up in Pittsburgh, but she's Costa Rican and she lives in Costa Rica, and her primary gym is Athletic Advance. She won her first match. She was up pretty big on points and secured a rear naked choke. And in her second match, she had the 4 seed. She ended up losing by an advantage. I missed both of her matches because I was coaching Lucas Siebert at the same time. So Warren went and coached Isa.
Right.
And the girl she lost to, it was her 4th or 5th world championships at blue belt.
Wow.
Right? So, like, yeah, it's like, that's a little much.
Yeah.
You know? So I would say, like, your average blue belt, they probably, it's not uncommon for someone to be a blue belt for like 4 years.
What about like 8 or 9 years?
That's uncommon, right? That's somebody who's not training in jiu-jitsu anymore. But like as someone who's serious enough about it to compete at the world championships, that would be uncommon to be a 5-6 year blue belt, right? But if you're serious enough to be competing at the world championships, you're very serious about jiu-jitsu. So I would say, like, you know what I mean? Like as far as starting jiu-jitsu date to like now, I would say Erica was probably in the 99th percentile on
being new to it.
Right. Yeah.
That's incredible.
You know what I mean? Right? Like there probably wasn't many people competing that weekend who were newer to the sport than her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So now we're gonna roll up to my man Lucas Jones out of the Mat Factory.
Hey.
Dude, this kid's so awesome. Yeah, dude, he's great. So unfortunately, Lucas Jones and Claire started to overlap. All right. So I was able to coach Lucas for his first 2 matches. All right. And in his first 2 matches, he won them both by submission.
Sick.
His first match, he just comes out and just dogs this kid, right? And was it? Oh, it was an armbar. It was an armbar. So he dogged this kid. He arm locks him. He gets up, and the ref doesn't call the sub. He gets up and he walks over to the ref, and the ref was like, "Did he tap?" And Lucas was like, "Yeah, that's why I'm standing here." And he's laying down. The kid's still laying face down on the ground, like holding his arm. And the ref's like, "Did he tap?" And he's like, "I don't see him protesting." He's down there laying face down on the mat, man. And the ref was cool. The ref was like, "Oh, thanks, because I didn't see it. Thanks for like not breaking his arm."
Right.
You know? And Lucas was like, "Yeah, man, for sure." Right? So he gets his hand raised, and
Dude,
Lucas Jones has like, I feel like he like. His face like tells so many stories because he like does like all these different faces, and dude, he's so funny.
Dude, I've said like 5 sentences to the dude. You know what I mean? Like we've crossed paths like a handful of times.
Yeah.
But based on like what you've told me, like all these stories and stuff, dude, love this kid.
Dude, that's how I felt. Like, so I first got to know him last year at Worlds. He had just turned 21.
Yep.
Right.
That's
so
when you guys hit the blackjack.
Yeah, we
tables.
go hit the tables, and I was like, whoa. I was like, this is my guy right here. Right. Yeah. So whatever, we're back at this spot. We're back at the scene of the crime. So then he's in his second match, and he's in this dog fight with this kid who's like pretty good looking wrestler, passing guy. And the scoreboard goes out, right? And when the scoreboard goes out, the score's tied 2-2, but the other kid has 3 advantages and Lucas only has 1. Scoreboard goes out, there's like 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the match, so it's just halfway through. And we're joking with the other guy's coach and stuff, and it's really cool. And the other guy's like yelling to his guy, the other guy's coach is like, "He's got a real sub-heavy guard." And like Lucas just kind of like stops and turns around and goes, "Thank you." Like, yeah. It's like, "Oh, thank you." And stuff. So then that's what started like all the like joking and stuff, dude. But yeah, Lucas like wrestled up on, or got up, like went to take the other guy down. The guy fleed out of bounds and like, you know, some other things like that. And then we're getting towards the end of the match and it's getting close here. And the guy goes to pass and Lucas slaps on a buggy choke, right?
Yeah.
And his coach was like, "Just drive forward." And I was like, "Dude, it's already over." I was like, "This is already done." The guy picks Lucas up in like a panic and like spins, falls backwards and taps.
You can't slam
like,
in IBJJF, right?
No.
Okay, got you.
And taps. And it was like, yeah, dude, I was like, that's just something different there, right?
That's incredible.
So he won that match. And then I had to leave because Claire had her matches were up. And he won another match. And then he did. In his 4th match, I didn't get to watch it because I was cornering or coaching Claire, but it was a ref's decision. No, he lost on a penalty point, which he got his penalty point because the ref gave an advantage to the other guy, or the ref gave an advantage to him,
right?
And the scoreboard put it on the other guy, and Lucas was like, "Oh, no, that's mine." So the ref penalized him for speaking. Even though he was right? He was like just trying to fix the scoreboard, so got penalized, and that's what caused the match when it came down to, because it was everything else was like knotted up, so then it went to penalties. The other thing, the kid was super dirty. The kid did a fake slap bump, and like, yeah, and stuff like that. And Lucas found him on Instagram and started just like trashing, DMing him, just trashing him. He's like, "I'm gonna blow your knee out." It's like, dude, I'm like, you're so. He's so funny.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so then Lucas was like real pissed for like a little bit. He does it well though. Like he like disappears. He's pissed. He disappears. And for whatever amount of time he's gone for, he
Takes care of it.
Takes care of it. Comes back. All right, like next.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
completely back to being himself,
That's
which is
awesome.
super fun. So didn't end the way he wanted. Maybe not the most up and up things have happened, but like whatever, dude. Like
Well, also, dude, so he went what, 4-1 then?
3-1, I believe.
3-1? Okay, someone who wins 3 matches at Worlds, right? In blue belt Worlds.
Right, it's a 90-person division. Like, and he finished in the top 16.
Okay, if you finish in the top 16 at blue belt Worlds, doesn't that mean that, like, at the very least, you're better than the average, like, black belt hobbyist?
Oh, I would say,
Like,
yeah.
competition-wise?
I would say yes. You could definitely say that. Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, I know.
You know what
Like,
I mean?
Lucas will submit me in practice on occasion.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll beat him up pretty good.
Right.
When I try hard. I tried hard on him one time, and he was like, "Whoa, bro, don't forget, I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid." No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, he's very good. Hold on, we just talked about it not too long ago. After he got his ankle broke at Pans in the first round, went 0-1 at Pans. The very next weekend, he went 3-1 at Midwest Finishers, submitting 2 ranked black belts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like even a competition black belt, he can get in there for. He's somebody though, like just like I was saying earlier, like he competes under so many rule sets that he's just like he goes for the kill,
Right.
and at some point in time, he's gonna need to start to
Specialize a little bit.
not necessarily
Or
maybe
play the rule system.
yeah,
is
or
essentially.
just like take some effort into like, all right, this is an IBJJF, this is a strategy. Like
Right.
strategize instead of just being like, oh, I'm just gonna kill everybody.
Right.
Right? Like at the top of the heap, right? You're not just gonna kill everybody.
Right.
Right? Like you gotta start putting some strategy into it. And strategy revolves around the rules. Strategy creates your tactics and your tactics revolve around the rule set.
It's like if you're an amateur Muay Thai fighter and for whatever reason you can't get fights, something, you go and take a kickboxing fight. It's like, yeah, dude, if everyone's just got a couple fights, yeah, whatever, let's just go fight. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if you start getting into professional levels, then it's like, okay, you need to, like, are we kickboxing or are we doing Muay Thai? And like, those are gonna be different game plans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Similar thing to what you're talking about.
Yeah, very similar. But he's, he ain't worried about it. He's ready to move on.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So next up, we got Claire. So Claire Butterfield, married Claire Butterfield. So she, in my opinion, right now, she's out of all my people who I would consider like a student, in jiu-jitsu, she's my best, right? She's definitely the best. She's a Pan Am adult brown belt world medalist. I consider her Pan Am medal the second best jiu-jitsu accomplishment out of our gym's jiu-jitsu.
What would you say is first? I got 2 guesses.
Warren has a black belt Pan Am medal.
Oh, that's,
Yeah,
you know what my guesses were
2011.
gonna be?
What?
Mine were gonna be either Carestis,
I would give him 4th.
and when Logan beats
Well, Logan beat DJ Jackson.
DJ Jackson.
But I'm talking like medal finishes here.
Gotcha,
I
gotcha.
don't know where I would slot that in, but I would go Warren's Pan Am adult black belt medal was obviously one. Then Claire's Pan Am adult brown belt medal would be 2, and then I would give actually myself for having an IBJJF adult gold medal, although in an open. But the adult division at black
That
belt
was
is
what the
premier.
Atlanta Open, I believe.
Oh, Chicago.
Chicago, that's right.
Yeah. That's like,
That's sick.
well, I mean, the adult black belt division is the premier division,
Right.
right? And then you got to start to weigh, okay, a brown belt versus a masters black
Right.
belt, right? Which masters means over 30,
Right. And
Like-
your medal was an adult, right?
Yeah, my adult, the Chicago Gold was at adult, and I was 36.
That's what I was gonna say. You were like, you could have done masters.
Oh yeah, I could
Yeah.
have done masters 2, which is 35 and up.
Oh, I thought it was by decade.
No, it's every 5.
Oh, okay.
Which
Gotcha.
the coolest thing about that is like the brackets are packed. So like there's
sick.
opportunity. It's like it's so healthy. Right?
And was it like this 10
That's
years
why I
ago?
compete so I'm done competing in adult. It's just passed me by, right? I'm a coach now. I'm done competing in adult. And when I compete in masters, I elect to compete in my age division now, which this was my first year doing it, right? Because it's good for the sport.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm like, oh, you know what? No, Masters 2. No, I'm going to go do Masters 1, which is 30 to 35. Then, like if we all thought about it like that, then there would be no need for Masters 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's Masters 7, and there's people in it competing, and we're going to talk about it today.
Yeah.
All right? But let's move on. Let's focus on Claire here. So Claire, huge accomplishment in Pans. So it put her in at a decent spot at Worlds. In her first match at Worlds, she goes out there. Also, brown belt is one of the smaller divisions, which might be like surprising. It goes blue belt are huge, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like for example, the Lucases, Siebert, all the blue belts that I talked about, divisions of like 90 plus people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then purple belt, you're looking at divisions around 60-ish, 50 to 60s. Then brown belt, like you're looking like 20s. You know what I mean? And then black belt, you're back up to like 50, like bigger ones because people are black belts for longer.
Yeah.
Right. Like
once
a brown
you cross
belt,
that threshold.
a competitive brown belt is probably only doing 2 years at brown belt. Like, you know what I mean? So like, and then you're a black belt.
Right.
And then you're a black belt, and then until you're done competing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah. So Claire, very good division she's in. She's in the brown belt lightweight category. She was a Pan Am medalist, so she had some Grand Slam points. She came in as the 5 seed. First match, she gets right to her stuff. The game plan was shooting in on a single leg, pulling it into a shin to shin, and then going from there. She gets into that. She gets right into her game plan. Opponent is kind of like working around through some passing. Claire abandons her guard a little early in the first match, goes to turtle, which we have spoke on is a bad habit of hers. It's just like a lack of like belief in like how good her guard is, which is phenomenal. So immediately we correct course right there in the match. She's in front headlock. I'm like, all right, return to your guard. I was like, you need to believe in your guard retention. Stick with your guard. Stick with your guard. She returns to her guard. Boom, slide it out, arm lock.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, just like
Sick.
gets the sub. I'm like, all right, cool. Now with
Good
her,
thing she listened to her coach.
yeah, right. I actually coached her through that arm lock by doing things she taught me. Right?
That's sick.
So her arm lock, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but she uses a specific collar tie and a specific elbow grip. She uses it to create a specific angle, and then she finishes off on stealing the angle by doing something with her legs that is very specific.
Yeah.
And then she clamps down with like your typical like
Right.
heel back grip and finishes it off. But all those specific things I learned from Claire.
Dude,
so I
that's
just like
incredible.
regurgitated her stuff to
Right.
her, like just as like you know, just like maybe for some like kind of like a security blanket. Like,
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
hey, like these are the right movements.
Yeah.
Like you're doing it, right? But like it wasn't like my idea.
Dude, how cool is it that like you get students to a point where they can show you stuff?
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's
it's
so
really cool.
incredible. See,
I have it all the time.
And see, I think that it's a little different because one, you've been, you know, doing what you're doing at this level for a little bit longer. And two, I think it's a little different in jiu-jitsu and striking. But man, every once in a while, I can only think of 2 times that's ever happened to me. One time Ty showed me, and now I can't even remember what it was, but he showed me something in the clinch. He was like, yo, would this work? And I was like, show me that again. And I
Yeah.
was like, dude, I don't think I've ever seen that before. That's so sick. And,
Yeah.
like, we all know Ty's really good at clinching. That, and then another thing, Brody showed me one time. And bro, like sometimes like guys will tell me something like, and like
Yeah.
how they're thinking about it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. But just straight up showing me something, I'm like, oh, I've never done it that way before. I always taught this elbow exactly how I showed
Yeah.
you. My palm stays this way. Tomahawk elbow if you're just listening.
Yeah.
Brody, there was a fighter who will remain nameless, who was having a real hard time learning how to throw this elbow. And I was like, dude, just like, why, like, just this. I don't get what's so hard about it. And Brody goes, oh yeah, just point your hand out and then point it in when you come back down. I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. You can't mess it up now.
Yeah.
Like, that's so sick.
There you go.
Anyways, tangent aside.
Good tangent. But yeah, it's cool. It's like one of those things, like, you know, I got worried about getting to that level to where like, you know, like it's like, okay, like once you start showing me, are you going to like be like, did my value go away?
You think you're going to be insecure about it.
Yeah.
But as long as you're a good coach, when you get to that point, you realize how great that is.
Yeah, it's terrific. Yeah, and so far all my students have been very cool about like when they start doing stuff better than me, they're like they still like, you know, see value in maybe other things I provide.
Right.
So anyhow, that put Claire in the quarterfinals against the European champion.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So we knew that like we studied her bracket, which is something that I don't do at the lower levels. Like I'm not
Yeah.
studying like the blue belt bracket.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? But the brown belt bracket I'll study. So we knew this girl was really good, and she was definitely a potential finalist. So Claire goes out. The other girl gets the pull off on her, which does not go according to our game plan. Claire works some really good headquarters passing. She's threatening, and she just sees a leg open, and she just jumps on it, which is a great strategical thing to do early in the match. So when she jumps on this leg lock, she will then, if the other girl assumes top position while Claire's attacking the leg lock, the other girl will now receive 2 points, right? So that's what happens. Claire jumps on the leg, boom, attacks an outside heel hook, in my opinion, the outside heel hook wasn't there. She was getting some good bite and crank on it, but there are some things that I think would have gave it a little bit better of a bite and a crank. And then the girl assumes top position, but it was a serious enough attempt that Claire was received an advantage for it, but the other girl now has 2 points. But these are 8-minute matches, so there's tons of time, and now Claire is where she's more dangerous, which is on the bottom. And we'll see how she gets more dangerous. So from this bottom position, she gets another crack at a leg entanglement. So she out leg works the top wrestler. She out leg works her, puts her into like a saddle position, boom, slams down, goes belly down knee bar, and starts popping this girl's knee, right? It's on tight, right? And the transition to get there was very like slick as well, like cycled through like different options to get funneled into that position. So she's knee barring this girl, and the girl, desperation, slaps on a toe hold and just boom, pops Claire's ankle, right? Yeah, so Claire's ankle, boom, so Claire forced to tap in this position.
No.
So now it's almost like, okay, nobody's a winner. Claire's ankle's basically broken. This girl's knee's like
torn
not
up.
Good,
Right.
right? The girl gets up. Claire's like kind of like, you know, it's just like collecting
bummed.
it, like oh man, right? The girl stands up, looks over, and I'm sitting next to her coach because the coaches sit together,
Right, yeah.
right? We don't get to sit in the corners of the mat,
Right, yeah.
like how like you would see at like some
Fight.
tournaments, right? There's an area for black belts only, and it's like a long bench type area, and we get to sit there, so we get front row on the partition.
Oh, wait. So is it the way that, is it like judge table and you're on either side, or you're...
No. The judge table's in with the athletes. We are outside of the competition area.
okay, got you.
They don't let the coaches in the competition
Gotcha.
area. But there's a special area. There's a row of seats directly. The front row of seats are for black belt coaches only.
Gotcha.
And then after there, everything is for the public.
Oh, so you're literally right there with
Yeah,
them.
there's like, so imagine there's 2 fences. There's a mats, a fence, we're behind that fence. Then there's a fence behind us.
And that's the
and
rest of the crowd.
Yeah.
Got you.
So I'm sitting literally, there was basically as far as me and you away, because I'm sitting here, there's one seat in between me and her coach. Her coach is Ono Flanagan.
Why do I know that name?
Well, he lost to Andrew Tackett in the second round of CJI this year.
Yeah,
he also was the ADCC bronze medalist 2 years ago.
Okay.
At the 2022 ADCCs, and he's a leg lock specialist, right? So the girl turns after she gets the toe hold on Claire. She turns to him and mouths, to not say it like out loud, so it doesn't mouthing, and she goes, "That was fucking on." Talking about the knee bar, like does it like mouth, like not verbally. He's
Right.
like, that was fucking on. And Ono Flanagan turns to me and goes something along the lines of like we got lucky, like we scraped by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah.
I feel like he said like something like, oh, by the skin of our teeth or whatever. And like that knee bar was tight. I was like, oh, thanks, coach. You know, good luck the rest of the way, type thing, or whatever. But like that's like that's how in the margins we are here.
Right.
This girl then goes on, wins her semifinal match fairly handily, 4-0, and then loses in the final to Sarah Galbao, who is like the rising star brown belt. So, you know, it just goes to show, like, I would say, like, the top, like, 6 to 8 athletes in that category, like, you know what I mean? You shake them up and do it this weekend, they fall in different orders. You shake them up again, do them that. And so everything very within the margins. So definitely, like, you know, not what Claire came to do, but...
Still, she should be confident after realizing that, like, she is at that level.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
honestly, like, if she didn't gain, I personally have gained a lot more confidence in her competitively. And something that I feel like needs noted is Claire is is Masters eligible, right? And Claire is working a real job. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and I would say that most of these athletes are definitely full-time athletes. And she's making it happen, as a master's aged athlete against the adult level. So she's like in like the pro division, so to speak. And she has to like manage her training time much more wisely than other people. She basically has to squeeze more juice out.
Yeah.
Like than anybody else. And she does it. And she's always very positive about it.
Did she grow up doing sports?
Yeah, so she grew up playing sports. She was a soccer player.
Okay.
Would be what would be considered her primary sport growing up would be soccer. Yeah. But she recently did a podcast with she was on Ish's the Relentless Project podcast. I urge people to listen to that episode, learn a lot more about Claire and like her journey in jiu-jitsu. And very impressive. But great tournament for her. Ball's just getting rolling for her. She's going to take a little bit of time to heal up. I encourage her to take a little bit of a mental break as well. And then come back ready to rip. And like go on a run,
Yeah.
right? Like, dude, I could see like the next 3 years just being like, just like nose to the grindstone, like very smart about periodizing the training to deal with like regular life, but like going for a black belt world title. Like like that should be the goal.
That's so sick.
That should be the goal. There should be
so sick.
nothing less than that. That should be the goal right now. Yeah, and then, after that, reassess.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, really great tournament. It makes us all very proud. All right, so let's move on to our last athlete of Thursday, Lucas Steel City Siebert. All right, so Lucas is, out of everybody who competed on Thursday, is the dumbest. So me and Lucas, we were on the same flights out, which we picked great flights. We had an early flight out of Pittsburgh on Wednesday morning. We had a 20-minute layover window because we like to live dangerously. And so we had the shortest travel time, but we were risking not making that second flight. But we had a layover in Chicago, and then we scoot to Vegas. So we get there, and I'm like, oh, how much over are you? Because I'm significantly over because I'm not able to train.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm not going to tell you. And I'm like, what? And like, so that tells me how much over he is.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
why? And he goes, you don't need any more stress. And I'm like, I don't. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lucas is very conscientious of like bringing stress to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I appreciate that because no one else is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he's like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, all right, we're in for a bit of a cut. I'm like, it's cool though. So am I. You know what I mean? This is gonna be sick. It's gonna suck together.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So lo and behold, I'm gonna talk about his weight cut a little bit. We get there, and I am probably at this point in time, I'm probably like 7 pounds over, which is completely manageable. Now, you might be like, 7 pounds? That's nothing. Here goes what you guys need to know. It's a mat side weigh-in. That means you step on the scale,
Right.
and then you walk on the mat to compete, right? Like, it's like
It's
within
not even like
minutes.
high school wrestling where like
No,
you have
we're like, we all weigh in as a team, and then there's like an hour, and then everybody
Right.
warms up, and then the match starts. Like, no. Like, so like, it's hard to cut water weight. If you're cutting water weight, you have now committed to competing at a less than version of yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? So Lucas comes into this, and he is, when I first got a hold of his real weight, he was 12.5 pounds over.
Oh god.
Which is like that's like a weight cut that you do for an MMA fight.
Yeah.
When you have 24 hours to rehydrate and recover, right?
Yeah.
And man, if I'm gonna be perfectly honest, man, this weight cut was not going well at all. I was like, what is wrong with you? And he's like, dude, I'm so mad at myself. Why'd I do this to myself? And I'm like, yeah, dude. But he's so like mentally tough. So I find this gym that has saunas and hot tubs, right? The Las Vegas Athletic Club. And I'm like, I called them earlier this week. They do day passes, boom, boom, boom. So we as a team go there. Anybody who needs to cut any weight, we go there. And the first day, I lose like 8 pounds.
Right.
First go. And I'm like, sick. And then I can like rehydrate a little bit, eat a little bit, boom, boom, boom. Lucas has to stay. We all leave. And Lucas is like, I got to stay here until they close. So he's there grinding it out. He gets down. He probably knocked off about 10 pounds that day, 10 to 8, right? And he puts a little bit back in him. He's ready to go the next day. So the next morning, no one needs to go but me and him. So I go, and I barely need to go because I don't compete till the next. I have a whole nother day.
Right, yeah.
So I go, and I'm just like trying to be like a good sport, like a good like coach basically. And I'm there with Lucas, and we do the same exact thing. We do 2 sessions in the hot tub, 1 session in the steam room. We go check. I have lost 8 pounds. Lucas has lost 1.5 pounds.
Oh no!
I'm like, no way. And he's like, when is the absolute like? When do I absolutely need to be there? Because like we would want to be there a little early, like when last second, right? Like how much time do I have? And I'm like, all right, you need to absolutely be there at this time. Boom, boom, boom. He comes, he shows up on weight, makes weight. He comes in, he's ready to start his tournament. He is in a large bracket, like 90 plus, but he received a first round bye, but so does an opponent. So he's in the round of 64. So he has,
Now, if you get a bye, does that mean you weigh in? That?
No, you still weigh in at your match. Yeah, okay. It does not help. It just means there were some people in his bracket who would have matches in the round of 128. So that just means they have an extra match, right? Now the buys are given out to like the top seeds. Okay, Lucas was seeded 55th, but in the round of 128, only Like, I guess only like 20, 30, 40 some athletes needed to have a match to narrow it down to the top 64.
Right.
He happened to be one who got a bye into the top 64, even being seeded. He was ranked 55th.
Yeah.
Okay? So just to set the stage for where he was.
Right. Yeah.
He was not a highly ranked person coming in. Okay, so wins his first match. It was a pretty tough match, and I think it was due to the weight cut and some tactical things, but he won his first match. His second match, man, I'm going to have trouble. He had so many matches, I'm going to have trouble keeping everything together. Yeah, dude, what was his second match like? Oh, his second match, he had a guy who would actually wrestle with him. Okay, so his first match, snagged the takedown. Guy played a lot of guard. He won that like fairly convincingly, but it didn't get like a finish or anything. Second match, man, now I'm questioning things. Second match, he had a kid who would wrestle with him. So he wrestled the shit out of him and then beat him, although, there was some battles in there. Like the kid like fought hard, but Lucas beat him up. Third match, he had the 2 seed. He had the 2 seed in the third match. And Lucas just and I know who this kid is because he's the little... Christian had a breakout performance against this kid's older brother.
Okay.
Right? So I was like, oh shit. I was like, it's one of them.
Yeah.
Right?
You know who this is.
Yeah, and he's from Pedigo, which is Daisy Fresh team, who they're notoriously tough as shit, dude. Right? So I'm like, all right, he's got the 2 seed. Okay? Lucas blasts a double through his chest. Kid slaps on a guillotine. Lucas is in. And this guillotine is real. He is in this guillotine. This is a moment. This is a moment, right? And he is in it for a bit. Boom, fights out of it, earns his way out of it. He's up 2-0, battle, and the kid's scrapping with him. Lucas gets a pass. He's up 5-0. They get up to the feet with like 20 seconds left. I'm like, get ready, dude. Buckle up because this kid's going to come.
Yeah.
Like a bat out of hell. Just how you would want your athlete to do. Like, so all respect to him. Comes like a bat out of hell. No avail. Lucas beats him 5-0.
Dude, that's sick.
Then Lucas's fourth match, now he's in the quarterfinals. So he went from the round of 64. Everybody's familiar with the round of 64, March Madness, right? Everybody else feels that NCAA pull out, right? All those teams, yeah, that's how far. So now Lucas is in the quarterfinals or the Elite Eight, right? And I basically missed this match. The highlight of it is up. Like, you can see it. So you'll see Lucas posted a reel where he's like guillotining this dude and the dude taps, and you see me like walking in the frame. Like, look in the background and you see me walking in the frame. So Lucas comes out, low singles him, like snags the ankle, boom, pulls it. Kid falls to his butt, tries to sit up real quick. Lucas grabs his neck, boom, like a 14-second submission in the quarters.
Sick.
Yeah, so now he's in the semis. And then in the semis, he ended up losing 4-0, but the kid got a good guard pull off. Lucas shot from a little bit further away than he should have, which was part of the strategy, was to shoot from a distance because the guy needs to make contact before they can pull. Shot from far enough away that the guy was able to like make like a stopping contact, and then when Lucas readjusted his stance, sat. Then they hit Lucas for a penalty for like action, which I thought was incredibly undeserved. I thought it should have went to the other guy, so much so that I thought it did go to the other guy. And I was trying to be like to the ref, I'm like, oh, you put on the wrong guy. You put on the wrong guy, right? So that puts the onus on Lucas to score. So now the other guy can just kind of play defense.
Right.
The guy had a really flexible guard that was really hard to pass. You needed some real jiu-jitsu-y passing for that guard. And Lucas, obviously, primary focus is on MMA, right? We literally did 2 half-hour sessions on jiu-jitsu-y passing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but he's threatening. And then he just got to get wild at the end and start doing like flips and cartwheels and shit to try to make something happen. And then ends up giving up a back take there right at the end to just lose 4-0. But it's like, whatever. Right? Yeah. It would have just been like 0. He would have lost by like by a penalty point, but he lost 4-0 because he was trying.
Exactly.
Trying to win. And ended up being a world bronze medalist.
Dude.
Yeah, in a huge bracket, right? So he made,
Yes, that's incredible.
Yeah, world's bronze medalist.
In his secondary sport.
That's it. So, okay, we're going to get explicit here. So, Lucas Jones and Lucas Siebert. So they were rooming together. Okay, so it's Casa, Lucas Isukis. Yeah. So that's what we named that. So they're buddied up for the weekend, obviously, and Lucas Jones comes back right from like his pity party, right? And he comes back. And now he's back. He's all all positive, all team
Yep.
player, right? He's like, all right, I'm done feeling sorry for myself. And then he's like, what's up with Lucas? I'm like, he's in the semis. He's like, whoa, no way, dude. He's like so pumped, right? So after that, we go to the podium after Lucas takes third, and he's there, and Lucas is sad because he wanted to win the Worlds, and like, I get it, right? I get being sad, right? But at the same time, dude, you're a world bronze medalist. Like, you can be sad for like 4 minutes, not in front of my face.
Yeah.
Because like I'm like, that's sick, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Like, trust me, I get wanting to be the
Right.
champ, and like you should.
Yes.
But when it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
And when it's over, it's over.
We gotta
Like,
accept it for what it is.
accept
be
it
happy
for what it is.
where you
That's
got
awesome.
to.
And ultimately, I think he is there.
Yeah.
And Lucas Jones goes, yeah. What are you sad for? He's like, you took bronze, and this is like your side chick. He's like, this is your side chick. He was like, it's my main bitch, and I didn't get nothing. I was done. He's like, this is just your side chick. This is my main bitch, and I didn't get nothing.
Oh, dude, Lucas
I
is
couldn't
hilarious.
handle it. I know he's just on fire like at all times. Yeah, dude, he's so fun. But that's Thursday.
Dude.
That was one day. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was a tough day. We were back and forth. Like I said, I was missing coaching people and
Right.
stuff. It's almost like when you go, like everybody needs to have their own individual coach with them.
Right.
Because, dude, like Claire was on at the same time as Lucas. Lucas was on at the same time as other Lucas. This Lucas was on at the same time as Issa, and then Conklin's on, and then Dwyer and Erica. They're like back and forth. Like it's just like, dude, it's just like, and there's like 20 some. There's 18 mats. I think there were 18 mats, and it's like getting from one mat to another. It was like so difficult. But yeah, Thursday was very difficult. So Friday, things calmed down. On Friday, I started it off. We've already talked about me, so we're going to push past that. Let's talk Sage. So Sage comes out, black belt, lightweight. He's significantly underweight, but he doesn't care. Masters 1. He goes out there and he's in a scrap, right? He's in a good match, and he is definitely better than his opponent. Sage put up 7 points, which was every point scored in the match. He scored, but 4 of them were for his opponent. So Sage ends up losing 4-3, right?
Got you.
The guy's 4 points are off of Sage dropping back for leg locks, and if you come up, then
Right.
it's 2. So the guy got 2 sweeps on Sage. Both weren't forced; they were Sage attacking for a leg lock.
Right.
Sage ended up losing 4-3. He had a really good guard pass, nearly had a takedown, nearly had another good guard pass, and he had like 5 advantages, which means nearly scoring these things.
Right.
But his opponent had 2 sweeps, which again were given to him by Sage.
Right.
Sage's attack. So now we're talking tactics, right? Coming into tactics or whatever. So that's something that also Sage is very much doesn't believe him in himself, right?
Yeah.
So had a little talk with him after, and I was like, don't come back out here without like
Addressing
getting your
this
mind
first.
right,
Yeah.
because like you're too good. You are too good. Like he absolutely is a threat to win these
Oh,
tournaments.
yeah.
Absolutely. And he looks like it. Like in the match, you're like, holy crap. Like, oh.
Right.
Like in the match, sometimes you forget how good he is, and then you see him roll in competition, and you're like, oh yeah, dude, he's really good. And then he'll just be like, nah, fuck. Boom.
It's like the Gary
You know?
Shavkat fight. It's like Gary lost, but everyone like has like a higher regard for him now.
Right.
It's like you watch Sage and you're like, oh, he maybe lost that match, but like, dude.
Well, he wouldn't have lost if he had any higher regard for himself.
Right.
But he's so like unconfident in his abilities. Like it's just like no, like everybody knows Sage is good except for Sage.
Right.
So that's something that we're going to need to address. I want to give a shout out to my man Evan Mulgrave. So Evan, high ground black belt. I believe we made our black belt debuts against each other. We were the main
sick.
events of a stout fights in
Oh, yeah.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he came to the Worlds. He ended up winning his first match, and he lost his second match against the 1 seed, only 2-0, off of one of his attacks. Can't quite remember because I was kind of going at the same
Right.
time. But yeah, a good Worlds for Evan Mulgrave. Really good black belt in the Pittsburgh area. And now we're going to finish off Friday with Rich Roby. Okay, so Roby had some good success at purple belt, at Pans. He double silvered Pans the 1 year. That means weight and absolute.
Right.
Then he had some not so much success as a brown belt, right? And it was just like on the brink of like breaking through, right? But like, did Pans, did medal. I think maybe that was twice, maybe only once, but whatever. But this year at Pans, dude, we talked about it on the podcast,
Yep.
was on fire, dude. His wrestling and his passing, which was like the new additions to his
Right.
game, were looking so freaking sick, dude. So he silvers at Pans in a very closely competitive, dicey match in which his opponent doesn't even think he won that match, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But still, like, all due respect to the opponent, it's like, you know, it's what went down. So he's like, yeah, I can't do Worlds. Can't get enough time off work. And I'm like, man, that's crazy, dude. I'm like, if I had to choose between Pans and Worlds, you should just do Worlds.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like, it's way cooler.
Right.
Pans actually is super fun because it's in Texas. And man, dude, I love Fort Worth, Texas. I do. But neither here nor there. So a week or so goes by and he hits me up. He's like, I'm doing Worlds. He's like, hopefully the pre-schedule was out and it showed that Masters Brown could be on so many different days.
Right.
He's like, hopefully it's on Friday. That's the only day I can do. Right? He's like, but I'm booking it just in case. So he books it. This dude flies in. He lands in Vegas at 11 p.m. Thursday night, and he leaves Vegas at 11 p.m. Friday night. He is on a 24-hour
Bro.
mission to win a world title.
That's
All right,
sick.
Let's get into it. Okay? So that just shows you like the level of like commitment and
Yeah.
like dog that
Yeah.
he is about this tournament.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I was there, and I was there for a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
He was there for one thing.
You're right.
You know? So, first match, he comes out, and you never know what you're dealing with. So he comes out, snaps dude down, spins around, the turtle dude bails to a guard. So he's addressing the guard with a little bit of caution at first, like getting a feel. Boom. Spins around the head, gets to like a Kimura position. He doesn't have the Kimura yet, but he has an underhook, and he's like sitting on the guy's head. And I just see his body language go, oh. Like, he immediately knows he will 100% win this match.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like you got that feel, and it took like 15 seconds to get the feel, be like, oh, you have no chance.
Right.
Right? So he works through to his Kimura, turns it into a straight arm lock, boom, finishes his first match, good submission, bang. That was a quarterfinal match. So now he's on to the semis. In the semis, he now has the 2 seed. Rich is the 3 seed coming in based off his Pan Am success. Right? He now has the 2 seed, so now he's the dog. Okay? He is in a war. This was the match of the tournament for me, right? So I'm there. I'm hurt, right? Because my matches were already in the morning. So I'm already like hobbled. It's me, Evan, who I just was talking about, and then Evan's dad, John, who we'll talk about last.
Okay.
All right? So we're all in the coaches area coaching him, right? And he is in this dogfight against this dude. I believe he was the European champ or something like that, but he was good. And he gets dude, they're in this dogfight. He gets 2 takedowns on him.
Roby does?
No,
Oh,
the other guy
kid.
gets 2 takedowns on Roby. But Roby is like carrying the action, right?
Right.
Like getting near takedowns, driving him out of bounds. Like, boom, they're in this banging hand fight, right? Then eventually they get into a scramble position, and this towards the end of the match, there's got to be like 20-some seconds left. Roby scrambles, and he nearly has the back take. And we are losing it,
Yeah.
right? Because if he gets the back, he's going to win because he has more advantages than the other guy
yeah.
because he was getting all these near things,
Right.
right? So once the score, if he gets the back, he'll get 4 points. It'll be tied 4-4. But Roby has been doing all this work the whole match, leading the dance, the whole match, grinding, going, the whole match that he has racked up tie-breaking criteria.
Right.
So that's a good way for a lay person to look at it. So, dude, he gets to the back, and the dude's like battling, and they're in this battle. And I'm just losing my mind. I'm like crawling over like Evan and stuff like on the barrier, and I'm screaming, and we're all losing our mind. And he slaps on a choke on him, and I'm like, rip it. And there's like 4 seconds left, and I'm screaming. I'm like, use it to put your other hook in. And he just slams his other hook in, and boom, buzzer beater, dude. Wins the semis on a buzzer beater. We're losing our mind. Like me, John, and Evan, we're losing our mind. We're going crazy. Oh, you know, Justin Michael from 10th Planet, Mousery was there with us too. Yeah, so we're all like, we're talking about 3 different gyms.
Right, yeah.
3 different gyms. And Rich, his main gym is Henzo Gracie Morgantown.
Right.
Right? So these are 4 gyms around the Western PA. So we got an Ohio gym, a West Virginia gym, and then 2 Pittsburgh gyms. And we're just losing it, dude. It was such a sick match. Oh, so... yeah, I completely forgot like I was hurt for that. We go back. We go like
You
talk
probably
to
hurt
him.
your back even worse.
Yeah, probably. We go talk to him before his final and stuff. Boom, boom, boom. Game planned up. Everything's good. We're ready to rock. He goes out for his final, and he gets the 4 seed who had upset the 1 seed. But we had saw this dude all his matches. This guy was a good, strong, stayed in position wrestler,
Okay.
and like took advantage of like snagging a takedown. He was explosive and fast. And Roby had given up 2 single legs against the semifinalist, so there's some concern there. My boy buckled down, dude. He buckled down. So they're in just like basically like what would have been like if this was MMA, it would have been a bloody fight.
Yeah.
Right? They're in this hand fight battle, but Roby literally is all the offense, and this guy is all defense. And they are like dude, this dude like got forced out of bounds with offense, not like him just like shoving him out like
Right,
sumo.
yeah.
Like he's like shooting and like using the edge. The opponent's using the edge as like a safe haven. Like, oh, we're
Yeah.
out to stop, get a takedown. And the whole freaking match is just that. Boom, 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 boom. So Roby's catching advantages. And then we get to the point where now this dude needs to score. And there's like 30 seconds left. And like, bro, I was like, listen, I was like, he's got to go through your face. I was like, you keep your face in front of his face. His level goes down. You go, dude. He was just in complete 100% focused and disciplined throughout the entire freaking thing, dude. You could have just, dude. He would have ate like 100 punches right to the face for that. Like it didn't matter what that dude was shooting. Like his face was getting in the way. Yeah, he was winning. And and he won a world title. Bro. Yeah, man. After, dude.
So how long are these matches?
Those are 6-minute matches.
But dude, maybe that doesn't sound like that
They're
crazy
sprints though.
to the average
like
person.
I can't dude, it's
that's
incredibly exhausting. And they run them back to back to back, right? There's not much break in between. That war in the semis, was probably 8 minutes removed from his finals match. Right? You know what I mean? So it was just absolutely crazy. It was sick. Dude, it was just like such like an exciting experience.
Yeah,
you know
to
what
be
I mean?
like a part of that and see that, you know.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, he got his world title. He came in and he accomplished his mission. Got his world title.
Bounced out
got a bowl
everyone.
of acai, and then we were like, "Are you gonna party with us?" He was like, "No, I'm going home." I was like, "Okay, see you next year." But it was cool because we went like in 6 weeks. 6 weeks before. You know, he was happy with his performance at Pans because he competed well. And like sometimes when you lose, you're still happy with what you did because like you're that much of an athlete and a competitor that you realize like I did good things.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He was like, that was my best performance by far. That was 6 weeks earlier to not doing Worlds to then doing Worlds and winning it.
Yeah.
Right? And putting a cap on the year.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, that was it. It was super sick. So we definitely finished that on a high note. And that finished off our Friday. But now we got to move to Saturday. All right. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay for this because I got 2 young children. Got to get home, right? So my flights out were Saturday before John Mulgrave competed. So John is a 5-time. He's in his mid-60s. He is a 5-time world champ. All right, dude. A few at purple, a few at brown.
That's incredible.
This is his first world championship run at black belt. I see him in the hallway, and I talked about him on last week's podcast. So I see him in the hallway. He's like, "Mikey, what's up?" Da, da, da. And I'm like, "Oh, John, I was talking about you on my podcast. I just want to make sure I got my story straight. You're a 5-timer, and this is your first one at black belt, right? I wanted to make sure I wasn't like messing it up or whatever." And he goes, "0-timer." And I'm like, "What?" He was like, "0-timer." He's like, "Nothing counts but black." And I was like, "Yo, dude, goosebumps."
Dude.
Like, so he is a 5-time world champ.
Yeah.
But he doesn't count none of those because they weren't at black belt. And I'm like, whoa. I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's such a, like, first off, they all count. By the way,
Yeah.
those count. But for a mentality going in before you compete,
Yup.
before you compete for a mentality
That's
going
sick.
in. Yeah. And he ended up taking a silver medal, right? And how cool is that? So he's what's called Masters. Did I knock this off? Masters 7, right? Which is 60 and up. How cool is that? And he had a bracket. Like there were multiple of them.
Dude.
Like, you know what I mean? How cool is that? And that's what I'm talking about.
That's
like
so cool.
Like having it there for the sport, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, there were brackets of guys over 60 competing this weekend.
That's incredible.
Dude, it's incredible.
That's so incredible.
Yeah, so he won his first match, got to the finals, and then in the finals he lost to the returning world champ, Richard Bryan, who owns Kasai.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, so you know what I mean? So still chasing that first black belt world title, but man, what an absolute dog, right?
That's
you know what I
awesome.
mean? Yeah, 5-timer.
So awesome.
5-timer, soon to be more, but those will be at black belt and he'll start counting those.
Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Anytime I hear someone who, and I want to make sure I phrase this properly because like I'm not calling anyone old, but like when someone's older than me by like a decade or more, I'm just like super impressed, right? Because
How about by 30 years?
that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, first of all, just
When
to
you
still
were
be
born, he was like 32.
yeah, man. Like, dude,
Here goes another thing. his son Evan, who we were talking about, was competing in the Masters
Yeah.
division the day before.
Yeah,
right?
man.
You know what I mean?
That's just
Like,
so
yeah.
incredible, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have like the athletes, you have the martial artists, right? When I see someone who is like truly a martial artist, someone who's like, I am dedicated to this for life.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to live my glory days until I'm 30 and then, you know, tell stories about my glory days. Like, no, someone who's about it till the end. Dude, that is like,
Yep.
dude, that's just so incredible. I love that. I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and like, dude, just hats off. So, yeah, that's the gist of my Worlds experience.
Dude, sounds like a great trip. I mean, obviously, other than getting hurt, that sucks. But like,
Yeah, but it's like, doesn't matter, dude. It was like worth it for the experiences.
yeah, for sure. Dude,
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool.
We got any other subjects we want to touch on?
Yeah, I want to touch on one more subject.
Cool. What do you
We got fights this weekend.
Oh,
all
we
right?
sure do.
We got the 247 Fighting Championships this weekend, December 21st, at the Monroeville Convention Center in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. On the card representing Stout PGH, we have Brian Mitchell looking to make his sophomore appearance after going 1-0, winning his fight in October. We have Tyler Fleming also making his sophomore appearance off of his victory this past February. We got Zach Drismecki. He's fighting in a title eliminator bout, okay, against Tariq Smith.
Sounds right.
Yeah, should be right. Sounds about right. So Zach 3-0. If he wins this fight, he's going to get a flyweight title fight. So we're ready for that. And then we got our very own Max Jarrell fighting Drew Landenfeld and Max's farewell fight to the featherweight division. Max, what do you have to say about that?
I'm excited. Drew's a veteran, and I get to be the young kid taking on the veteran now. I get to see that a lot in the UFC and high level fights, and now I get to be like the young
Get to live
kid
it.
coming up and doing it. Yeah, I'm excited.
There you go. All right. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, go ahead, get on the 247 Fighting Championships website, buy your tickets, use Max Jarrell as your fighter. Let him get some of that scratch off the ticket sales because we are paying him $0. And if you can't make it and you want to grab the pay-per-view, make sure you're using Max as well, your official LTYC Fighter of the Week. All right, we'll catch you next time, guys. Hopefully with some good results from the 247 Fighting Championships, and hopefully Max in one piece so he can stay behind the camera doing all the hard work. All right, peace.